Bring that back. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another session. And you know what? What's today? We all got some wins and losses. You see that, DJ? I came out with the wins and losses right away before we talked about what won, what really worked this week. Not only this week, guys. Let's talk about the quarter. What worked this quarter, right? We're now just starting right in the fresh of Q2. What worked? What didn't? What did we learn? And how can we move forward?
Welcome to the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly.
You see that? 2 videos in the first 2 minutes. Huh?
That's impressive. But there is two. Got to throw up the good morning.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, Lisa's 20 seconds ahead of Jeff this morning. You see that?
You guys rock. Seriously, shout out to both of you for being on first thing like that
every day.
And then
every day,
a big win to start. Mark, thanks. He's with us. The man, the myth, the legend, Mark.
Did you think he wasn't coming back from the Caribbean or something?
I don't think he's coming back. I thought he was done. I thought that was it.
Oh, that was it? You thought he's out in the Caribbean? That's it. We're never going to see Mark. He's going to be Mark. What was it? The Jimmy Buffett?
This is all I live for. This is why I decide that I want to get up in the mornings. If I wasn't for this, I just run the streets.
I don't care if you're joking. I'm going to take that as a win right there.
Yes,
I'm going to take that as a win, boys. So do you guys? I have, and I don't mean to capitalize. Do you guys mind if I start?
No,
I just want to share some stuff. So obviously, being the end of Q1, beginning of Q2. Sorry, the end of Q1. When we sat here at the beginning of the first quarter, we talked about what are some of the things we want. What are some of the goals? And first of all, you guys remember? I don't know if you all recall, but I said one of my major goals this year is to get a lot better at welding. Right, I really want to hone that side of the personal side of my life and the hobby side of my life. So I'm going to show everybody something real quick. So on the right side, this is when I first started welding. Okay. So that wouldn't have held literally popsicle sticks up. It would have just crushed underneath everything. Right. So on the two kind of vertical ones on the right side are my first time welding. So last night, when I finished the second part of what I'm doing in the course, the right side here on the two stacked horizontally is called stacking dimes. So those welds, from what I understand from my instructor, the almost 1/4 inch steel will actually break before that weld will break. So in 3 short months, I've gone from hacking the hell out of everything to building that entire system for $1,500, almost 2,000 pounds to sit on, to stacking dimes. So for me, that was a huge win last night when I finally got the technique. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, some of my dimes are further spaced. I kind of called them distorted dimes, but we're getting there, boys. We're getting there. We're moving along in that sense. So that's a big win.
Dan, I'm going to jump in there. Why welding? What's the fascination there?
For me, it's creation.
Great question.
So for me, it's something breaks. I had a buddy of mine come over, and this was really weird. So I got a welder just because I've got stuff around the house usually this breaks. Snowmobiles, you have a piece break, you can weld it back on. A buddy of mine 2 years ago, when my son had an accident on the sled, I took a piece over to him. And instead of spending $1,000 to rebuy a piece and waiting 6 weeks for it to deliver, he goes, "Bring it over, I'll do it." And he just welded it together, and that piece is still holding. So when he welded that together a couple of years ago, it was one of these things where I was like, I got to get into this. When we were camping, we used to do a lot of camping. We had a 28-foot pull behind hard top trailer, and we wanted to put a bike rack on it. So I took it over to a buddy of mine. He welded a bike rack to the bumper. So I've always for a decade and a half, I've been fascinated with this whole idea of welding, taking 2 pieces of steel and applying heat, and they become one. So I started flying back 2 years ago, another buddy of mine built this ramp to put his sled in the back of his truck, and again, welded it together. So it's just kind of been this progression. And when we put the pool in last summer, I used the points from my credit card from paying for the pool to buy a welder. So originally it was screwing around with shovels and fixing garden tools and stuff.
Mm.
And then it went into this literally obsession. Like I I watch probably an hour of welding videos on YouTube every night. Like when I say an obsession,
It's a passion. Oh, look, Mark's falling asleep right now. He is so excited. He's falling asleep. No, I'm just
but
kidding.
Mark, when you start seeing the
I
arc
get
and the
it.
weld and you understand polarities and you start getting into the in-depths of it, it's like, okay, this is cool. So my next step is actually having a conversion thing, and I won't get into it too much because it's a little technical, but I want to start welding aluminum because then, I break my ladder,
It's tough.
weld it back up, right? So,
Right.
and again, it all comes back to snowmobiling and fixing things. So
Being
like
able
my
to
new
fix
truck
your own
coming, I
thing,
can
yeah.
literally plug my 200 amp welder into my truck and weld things on the back. So that welder's coming with me on my next snowmobile trip. Something breaks on the steel, we're good. We're back on the trail the next day, right? So for me, it was kind of that coolness of welding, where it came from. But so with welding, the trick is making the bead, growing the bead or shrinking the bead to fit the product you're welding, right? So that's kind of where I'm at with that. So that's the win.
I just got a text message. I got a text message from a buddy of mine who says, Dan, could you call me at about 9 o'clock tonight? I suffer with insomnia. That story's really going to help me out. True story.
True story. Cool story, bro. Cool story.
You've heard of duct tape, right? That works just as well.
Yeah, no. Have you ever seen? Okay,
I think it's a great skilled trade and skill.
I couldn't do it.
No, so
I could not do it.
I think if we needed welding, it's a good thing to know.
You know what?
Anyone in a trade.
Last night, I had a friend come over with his pull down system for his gym. He's like, dude, I see the crack. I'm like, I'm going to pull down. I'm going to smack my head. Like, I just saved somebody's life by welding that back so it's not cracked. You know what I'm saying? So
I love that. You're better than EMT. Right? That's what I'm hearing. You're better than EMT.
Yeah. But so here's so that for me was like kind of a big personal win. Getting things organized for my wife's birthday was another big personal win for me. Hey. And for this quarter, from a business win, we're pushing this new project along, or we're pulling the new project through all the leaps and bounds so much faster than I had anticipated. And we're looking at actually kicking off in about a week and a half. So really excited there.
Awesome.
Loss for the week. So y'all, here's the thing. I was sitting at the bank yesterday in the middle of a meeting, and I'm looking at the time because I allotted 45 minutes for the bank meeting, and I'm looking at the time and we're going on an hour and 15. So I'm starting to try to push things along, if you will. So I look at my phone and I got an email from Shoppers Drug Mart, and I'm like, Shoppers Drug Mart. It's like the CVS in Canada. And I'm like, I never subscribed to this crap. So I don't even look. I open up the email, I hit unsubscribe, and it takes me to a page that says, we have no idea where you are right now. I'm like, I go back to the email. It's from like fatlady76@gmail.com. I'm like, oh my God. So I'm getting hacked, right? So I'm like wiping my phone instantly. So now I'm sitting at the bank. I have no way to contact anybody. I'm not like, my phone literally sits on my desk when I finish work. But when it's being wiped and you have no access to contacts, I can't text my wife and say, hey, listen, I don't know how long I'm going to be at the bank. Like, all these things are going through my head. So I ended up spending 5.5 hours, almost 6 hours yesterday afternoon, changing every password, everything. I am sorry. We are so like locked into technology when like all afternoon, everything I was doing got pushed aside. Like my sales calls, everything got pushed aside because I'm changing bank passwords and passwords for anything that has my credit card. And I'm thinking, okay, do I got to call the bank and maybe get a new credit card? Like, all these thoughts are going through my head because of one email. To me, huge loss, because I'm like the tech geek that does not click on anything I don't know what it is. So for me, that was a really big loss, but a really big learning lesson that, you know what, in every moment, even in those moments of like, we get this pent up anxiety inside because it's things aren't quite going to our schedule, or things are taking a little longer. I was at the bank opening some bank accounts, and my bank, like my main lady that I deal with at the bank, she had a family emergency. So I had somebody else stepped in. And he's like, I'm just not sure what I'm doing. So he's kind of walking through the process very, very slow, which increased that time, which then increased my anxiety because I know what's on my schedule for the day. And you guys know, because we've shared it, like I pack my days in, because I try, and when I put my head down on the pillow, I know at night I've done everything in my power to achieve my goals, dreams, desires, and ambitions, regardless. Like I've blown through mountains, I've created like everything. So it's like I'm looking at the time like I didn't allot for this. I did, and it just, that anxiety just, I again, my bad, I clicked it. But holy crap, when
that
you
sucks.
make that click and you realize, like, here we go. And my mother-in-law about 4 weeks ago did that, and within, I think it was, she said within, from the time she clicked it and then realized she was hacked, she got a phone call about 2 minutes later. She says, I'm not interested, hung up. All of a sudden a sticky note popped up on her computer and they're saying, don't hang up on us, you need to do this. She's like, oh my God. She unplugged her computer. She looked at the time. She's like, it was like 12 something. By 12:20, they'd taken $1,000 out of her bank account. Like these kind, like so fast, right? So all that's going through my head, and I'm like, wipe my phone, wipe my iPad. I'm like literally wiping every single piece of electronics I have, just to like it was crazy. So
full on panic,
full on panic, brother, because we're so in like all of this. We do our banking, we do it. So it's
everything is there.
I'm like, holy crap. And my first thought is, well, Apple's got some pretty good technology. I'm like, no, if they're in, like, I'm sorry, like.
Yeah,
they could do anything they want. And I'm like, so, but then you're kind of left like in a little like lifeboat in the middle of the Atlantic, right? Because you're like, what the hell do I do now? Now, thank the Lord I was at the bank. I looked at the guy behind the desk. I go, can you change my password right now? Right now. He's like, yeah, sure. So he locked my account and gave me a temporary password. So that part of it was good. But still, I mean, how many things are your credit cards connected to online? Right? Like, and
so many different things.
I mean, I don't understand the back end, but I'm not willing to risk it. Like, so now I'm like monitoring everything. So those were my big wins and losses this week. As for the quarter, gents, awesome quarter, amazing things happening. And you know what? The big lesson, when you strive every day to be better than yesterday, real good things happen. That's what I'll say to everyone. When you don't rest because you had, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, man, I pounded out the sales calls Thursday, I'm just going to chill. When you gamify, and it's funny because I was speaking with student who's the two of them are becoming really good friends. And we were talking this, he's like, I love gamify. If I can gamify my sales, he goes like, dude, I'm always competing. And I was like, wow, that is a great perspective, right? And just so when you try and do more every day, and just keep that energy, keep that ambition, keep that drive up, real good things happen. Real good things happen.
Yeah. So you've just likened that to, well, you probably don't know, but to golf. So that, although I'm playing with the buddies, I'm still playing against myself. Like we're playing against them for money, but I'm playing against myself. And that's kind of like how I felt year on year, month on month, getting like achieving your sales targets. Like when I worked in banks, teams that I managed, when I was a direct contributor as well, whatever I did for that, month one, I wanted to do better in month two. And then you wanted to get, an X% on top of that for month three. And then same thing year on year on year. And it didn't matter, even though I knew that, you might be going into a year that it could be a recession year. It could be a COVID year, right? So there's fewer opportunities, but even that didn't deter me, right? You're still trying to get one up on yourself each and every time. So that resonates with me, what you just said there.
Perfect. Awesome. That's awesome, man.
And it's true, right? And that's a Wayne Dyer quote, isn't it?
Which one?
We're trying to be better than, not trying to be better than anybody else, but trying to be better than we were the day before.
Yeah. Like my mom got me a little thing. So if you can see behind me here, you see that kind of little like silver bar on the shelf.
Yeah.
So she got me 2 1 year. One says, make today so good that yesterday gets jealous. I'm like, oh my God, that is so good. And then the one behind me here is, what the mind can believe and conceive, the mind can achieve. Napoleon Hill's famous quote, right? So those are like, I'm always looking at those every morning. And it's like, let's go out today. and let's make today so good that yesterday's like, damn, you bugger. Like, like to me, that's freaking cool, man. So we got some comments here, gents.
Yes, we do.
We've got Jeff wins in the process. Guadalajara, Guatemala, and India. We're going worldwide. Losses, not having time to do other things. Takeaway, you have to be able to sacrifice a little to gain a lot. All good. I would say, yeah, 100%. But I would actually say, forget sacrifice. You're investing, man. It's not a sacrifice. You're investing. And Jeff, you're killing it, brother. So you're investing in that new future. Fuck the sacrifice, man.
Worldwide. Morning.
Thomas Diaz says, good morning. Greg says, I just took my afternoon nap just moments ago listening to Dan. Can I do one of these? I love you, Greg. It's all good, buddy. Gordon, good morning, brother. Good to see you, man. So, gentlemen, let's go. What do you got?
Yeah, Mark, what do you got? Come on. I got to hear.
Oh, well, this week, it's going, the quarter's going in the same direction as yours, Dan. Like another bunch of, a couple of new clients coming on board this week. Again, coming down to managing those relationships in a very, very positive way. We've been talking to the companies for a number of months now, keeping them warm, not being overly familiar, overly like in their face, because we understand they got a day job to do, but staying on top of the relationship, and that's worked out well for us. So this was part of this was on our admin list for quite some time. Getting some how-to videos done. So how to book a trade, how to input a payment, how to add a beneficiary, that kind of 2-3 minute videos that we've then posted on YouTube. We did that this week. We put 3 out so far. We'll probably do another 4 or 5, just to help clients out, prospects out. But also I think it's going to be good for prospects to look at these things as well, so they can see, foreign exchange and global payments is not really that complicated. And I think that's why a lot of CFOs shy away from foreign exchange and continue to pay dollars globally instead of paying foreign currency globally, because they think it's confusing or time consuming, and it's not. So we're taking that as a win. Losses for me this week. This is it might be a bit cliche, I don't know, or a bit left field out there, but Taylor Hawkins passing last week, I'm a big Foo Fighters fan, and I think his passing, not that it has any bearing on me per se, but
it will, because wasn't he just 50?
He was
young.
Yeah, he was 50. So I'm 50 next year. So you're thinking about that, but it just brings back that whole mortality thought process, right? That yes, what we do is very important, and we have to earn money, we have to pay for things, etc., etc. And we've got to try and be better, and we're trying to cram our days with more. But it just really brings it home that family and taking care of yourself, and people have said to me, or you've read it for years and years and years, right? Live each day like it's your last. And when you're younger, you just kind of flippantly blow that off. You're like, yeah, whatever, I'm going to live forever.
Because you're bulletproof.
But it's true, man. Yeah, of course you are. Yeah. So didn't stop me having a couple of beers last night, though. But again, it's about enjoyment.
It shouldn't, because that's part of what you enjoy. So if you take all the joy out of life, then it's just work and sleep, right? Yeah. And the exactly. Do more, be more, and achieve more, Mark. That philosophy doesn't mean you just pack your day in with more work. It's more, do more, and achieve more. Sit there, be fully present with your kids when they're telling you a story, instead of thinking about your cell phone or what's going on. These are all woo, as Brian Byrne calls them, windows of opportunity for us to dive into the being more, doing more, and achieving more. It's huge. I mean, it's one of the first things I tell every student. How are you going to design the next 5 years of your life? Forget about making 100 calls a day and moving a lot of freight. How are you going to design that life?
All aspects of the life.
All aspects. Yeah. And wake up every morning and go, I can't wait to get going today. How many have you guys, either of you, and I know the answer, but I'll ask it. Have either of you woken up in the morning going, man, I wish I didn't have to get out of bed right now?
Oh hell yeah.
Right? Everybody has.
Everybody
has
those
because
days.
The joy is disconnected in our life. Mm-hmm. The passion, the energy, the excitement. I mean, even now, there's days where it's okay, I'm not feeling the jazz to like literally fly out of bed with sparks flying out my arse, for lack of a better term, because I got so much energy to conquer the day.
Yeah.
And we have to ask ourselves, why? Like, why? What's going on in my head to stop that?
Yes.
And so, Mark, I mean,
You have to be
you're older, brother,
aware.
and-
We talked about,
Oh,
I think we talked about awareness yesterday on the show, but it's all awareness in what you're feeling. You got to know
and
what you're
Mark, when
feeling.
something like that happens, right? Like he was 50. I mean, listen, maybe he's lived a rock star life because he was a rock star. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
still, you're approaching that age. It's like this is going to cause conflict in your head, brother, for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
But you know what?
Absolutely.
Just last week or 2 weeks ago, when you came on the show, if I could just share one thing with you, because I want to try and change that mental state that you're in. When you were on the show last week, the things you said trump everything that you just said now, right? Like taking the time out for your family, taking the time out for your kids. Brother, you're doing it, man.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
doing it, and you're living that rock star life, that like the way you position your family and the importance and the being there, and just the conversations we've had, brother, where you've been like, yeah, dude, you know what, I'm gonna check out for 30 minutes and play Nerf with my kid. Like that is being more, doing more, and achieving more in every sense of the word, brother.
Yeah, and we're sticking with that as well, right? Again,
Mhm.
this week I can just recall all of the times that my son and I have just peeled to one side, 20 minutes building Lego, whatever it might be, and we try and make like the mornings before we do the school run as well. Like, let's actually do something. Let's not all roll out of bed just in time to get dressed, have breakfast, and go.
I love it.
Like, let's make that conscious effort to
huge.
get up a little bit earlier. And yeah, and even if we just read together, or if we just play together, or like this morning he's got some of this police cordon tape. And so April Fools, he's like putting that across the doors, and you can see that he's doing it, right? Because he's only 8. He's not exactly like a master criminal, but you kind of turn a blind eye, and then you walk into it, you're like, oh no, what have you done? Oh, didn't see that coming. Oh.
Oh man,
It's just great.
Awesome.
And then seeing the look at his face, he's like, oh my God, I just tricked my dada. It's just,
love it.
man, these
I
things
love
are priceless,
And speaking of April Fools, any good April Fools jokes to anybody? Share if you've forgotten any. Obviously, today is April Fool's Day, so
yeah.
But yeah,
so I'd say
Awesome.
that's me. And I want to leave some time, obviously, for DJ, because
this quarter's been crazy. This show, obviously, the first 3 months of this show has been amazing. So thank you, Dan, for going on this journey, and everybody who's been following us and been and watching us daily. It's really been amazing. But the amount of connections and everything has been the huge win for me. I mean, network was something. It was kind of weird, but it was like again, it's just one of those things. I'm big on things happen for a reason. It was the time that I needed to spread the network, and Dan came with, hey, want to do this podcast, and here we go. And so, yeah, it was, it's been amazing. But big wins this week. Obviously, again, going back to connections, some shout outs really, but some, again, personal and professional connections. Anthony Jones, Bruce Palmer, Maria Richards, Tim Pence, Chris Arrington. Thank you guys for your time, your meetings. Some of those guys are going to be on the show, so look for a guest. Pretty amazing. Shout out to Trey, actually, and that was I was going to go there next, was Trey and Hayden, guys on the show. They're doing something on Monday mornings. So, Mark, if you're wanting to get in shape, Monday mornings, I think it's 7 Central. They're going to start working out and just talking business, talking things. So I think it's a cool idea. I'll be joining those guys Monday mornings. You want to start your morning with an exercise, but those are really the big things for me. Another really big win for me this week was the eye-opening. So I got some bad news. So it is a win and a loss. It's kind of tied to two. But it's the first initial acquisition that I talked to you guys about with 6 a.m. Central. First acquisition I talked to you guys about with the farm that fell through. Those guys have crazy expectations. So long story short, but I'll tell you. So they tried to pull almost like well, we're going to give you some padded numbers. We're not going to give you the real numbers. You first give us a starting point, and then we'll go from there in negotiation. We're like, whoa, you want us to guess what to? No, and so
I'm
and it was
sorry you
kind
had
of
to
like
go through that, DJ. That's brutal.
it was yeah, it was bad because it was like, hold on, what are they trying to do again? Thankfully, shout out to Marty, my partner in the venture. He was with his experience and his mentorship, he was able to keep me from making any mistakes. So that was
Good.
big. That was really a big win for that.
You know, that goes back to having the right people around you, brother.
Bingo.
Right?
Yes,
Saved you from a real bad mistake. Everything happens for a reason. You
oh
probably
yeah,
learned
it
a
could have
lot
been
in the
bad.
process. The next one's going to
Yeah.
be easier.
Yeah.
Good for you.
And now you also have that experience that when somebody else is in that situation, right, you're going to be the savior. You're going to be able to come in. So, and we've talked about this before, right? Those really crappy, shitty situations, but you can turn those into a positive because it's all about experience.
Yes.
Really, at the end of the day, right?
The experience I gained from it, the knowledge I gained from it, is well worth, obviously the falling out of the deal. So yeah, that was a big loss. It was like, okay, that dream went, but still have some other acquisitions in the pipeline. So
good.
I've just seen Trey's "Get Your Mind Right, Get Your Body Right," and that just actually reminded me. So I used to play a ton of soccer. Like I used to be like super fit. I was playing 6-7 days a week most times. Even playing in a semi-professional capacity, right? Super fit. And then I just fell out of love with the game. Like I was playing too much. Anyway, I ended up doing no exercise at all for like 10 years, barely even walking anywhere. And then my wife and I signed up for a half marathon. She trained her ass off. Like her dinner plate is always colorful anyway. Mine is just brown meat, right? Only eats vegetables. Yeah, it's all very
color.
lovely.
You need color.
There's color everywhere. Mine is just one color, neutral. That's it. Job done. And so she, trains. I went for one run, I think it was. And then on the Saturday night before the half marathon, I went to a black tie event, had 5 pints of Guinness and a monster-sized steak meal. My wife was on like, I'm going to leave early because we got to get up early, yada, yada, yada. And I beat her by about 45 minutes in this half marathon. And she absolutely hates me. And the only reason why I remember that is because that story comes up so
all
often.
the time.
And so just look at it, Trey, get your body right, dude.
Yeah. You're one of those people that I hate, for starters. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love you, but I also hate you. So I've got a buddy like that with golf. He will play 2 rounds a year and shoot 72. And like, I get so frustrated. I'm like, Brian, I'm telling you right now, dude, if you come out and shoot that game, I am going to literally strangle you by the 18th. I haven't played in like, oh God. I mean, I think I played last summer. I pulled my clubs out. Like literally when he puts the golf clubs in my car, the bag is covered in like dust. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm like thinking, I'm going to take some money now. And he comes out and just crushes it. And there's just, you know what, Mark? Good for you. I hate it. Good for you. And it's like some people just have that. Some people just have that in them. Now, I can't imagine how frustrating it would be for you. Dude.
Well, I actually try. I look after myself only in the sense of like I'll go and see medical practitioners on a regular basis. Right, my cardiologist is like, dude, you've got to get out and do something. You have to do something because this is not going to last forever. And I don't know if you're familiar with or connected to Mark Monera, but he's helping truckers.
That's it. Yes, I was
become
going to say
like super fit.
Does the fitness for truckers.
Yeah, we had him on our podcast a while back, and so he's signed me up. So I'm trying to do bits like nice. So he's helping me out because although I'm not a trucker, I'm still sitting in a chair for like 10 hours a day doing not a lot. So he got me the elastic band and like I could sit there just doing that. So I am doing something at least, but that's because of Mark, and maybe now Trey might help get me out of the chair.
Well, he's got the Tough Mudder Challenge coming up, right?
I love the
April
idea
30th, St. Louis, raising money for Battle Buddy 3-gun. More info, go to Beta Consulting Group -events. Trey was talking about that when he was on the show for sure. So I know I said I would never say this, but I'm actually going to say it. We've got a hard stop at 8:30.
Got a hard stop.
which means in 30 seconds. So,
Yep.
DJ, you've got
I will
30
take
seconds
you out.
to
I will
take
take
us
us out fast. Again, Mark, thanks for joining us. Everybody, thank you. Donate to the challenge, the Tough Mudder, if you guys can, or if you can make it. I don't know if he's still taking people there, but Trey, thanks for joining us, and thanks for that thing on Monday. Again, if you're watching this recorded, we will replay at 12 o'clock and 3 o'clock today. Again, if you like and subscribe down below on Sales Chatter Live and Dan Deegan on YouTube. And to take us out, really, it's neutral thinking, guys. I found this post. I don't know who the quote's from or who the breakdown is, but remember this. Easiest way to remember neutral thinking. Control, Alt, Delete. Control yourself, alter your thinking, delete negativity.
Oh, that's a good one,
Boom.
brother.
Love it.
To the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information.